Hey, welcome to another episode of Unbearable 73. My name is Matt. So, r- now this episode, with Rings of Prime Season 2 approaching, I thought I'd discuss a couple of articles I read about it recently or that used as a reference point to get us in a proper mental mindset for this returning atrocity. Now, before I get into those, for those of you who don't own the source material or have the memory for some, if some of us do, here's a few useful websites that I want to show you for the source material. First up is the Tolkien Gateway. It's the best single online Tolkien resource you will find. I mean, and it's fairly simple to use. It's, like any search engine. Of course, my horrible typing skills are, bad, obviously. But, there you go. And you get Frodo's page, so to speak. And at the very bottom, you'll have the reference, all the places in Tolkien's work or other source materials where you can find the information that they use. Okay? The next site to talk about is the Lord of the Rings Wiki. It's a pretty good search site. Now, the reason I'm giving you the Lord of the Rings Wiki, even though I don't think it's quite as good as Tolkien Gateway, is because the search engine's a little better, right? For some more obscure topics, the Lord of the Rings Wiki is a little better. But also, Tolkien Gateway is a little laggy sometimes. When a lot of people use it, you'll see that it'll hang for a few seconds or whatever. If you're trying to look stuff up fast, like if you're doing a paper or you're trying to get some reference for a video you're making, um, you know, it could be laggy for a couple minutes. And my personal preference is to grab the books, which I usually keep next to me, if for something I don't remember. Although I do like that with Tolkien Gateway, especially, I can get the particular page reference, the book reference at least, if not the page reference, so to speak. Anyway, and the third resource is Art of Maps, and this is an incredible resource. It seems to be a dead site, sadly, and that it's not been updated since 2015. But they put a lot of work into this, and it's the best at what it is. They run on top of the Google Maps API, so they have interactive maps from multiple ages of the Legendarium, and you can scroll in and out. And like for example, let's go to the second age, for example. And you get the big. I can mouse in to scroll. If I can drag it around like a Google map. If we get even closer, and you'll see details start to appear. Now you'll notice there's not a lot. Yeah. You know, here's the Mirkwood, of course. Right. And if I go back to the home page and I can go to the third age, and if scroll in the same way, now you see more places. The places that were there, what they were called in the third age. You know, Pelennor, the Greywood, Amon Owen, Elnak, right? If I go to the Mirkwood over here, I scrolled in too far. Should be up there. There we go. Now Dol Guldur is there because it wasn't there. It was a wreck, a ruin in the second age. So they did put some work into these maps, but then they just sort of stopped. But for what it is, it's a good way to get a good perspective on the first, second, and third ages. They have some timelines and stuff as well. But let's get to the articles, right? So the first up, an article from Screenrant entitled "Halbrand's theme sneakily revealed the identity of Sauron in Rings of Power, Episode 2." Spoiler: the fact that Halbrand was Sauron leaked somewhat like a year before the show came out. It wasn't a well-kept secret. That being said, that's not why I'm discussing anything in this article. The first point I want to do is address this romance angle the shows went with between Sauron and Galadriel. That's a bit down here. So here we go. That's this bit in here. The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 1 ending saw Sauron attempt to turn Galadriel to his side, promising that she would become his queen. However, Galadriel refused, forcing Sauron to travel to the newly created Mordor alone. I could rant about Galadriel's missing husband Celeborn, whom she's been married to over 2,500 years at this point, or why the inanity of introducing a romance angle for Sauron is, well, inane, right? I mean, is this something like how Spike had the hots for Buffy and Buffy the Vampire Slayer? You know? But the key point of problematic deviance is that in Tolkien's canon, Galadriel, most out of all, sensed that something was off with Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, which is the form that Sauron went to the elves in. He didn't go as Halbrand, the deposed king of humans or whatever. He went, or former king of Mordor. He went as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, portraying himself as a Maya sent from the Undying Lands to teach the elves. And Galadriel completely avoided him. She sensed something was off with him from the beginning with, and she advised others not to do him. Elrond and Galad met with him but were uneasy, and they sent them away. So that's when Sauron went to the city where Celebrimbor was, where his smiths were in the region, in a region, okay, and Celebrimbor and his smiths, Ostineth in the city of Ostineth, that's Celebrimbor's city, and Sauron spent, I want to say about 100 years, off the top of my head. I have an actual timeline video for the Second Age I have linked down below, which gives you pretty good details on some of this stuff of the Second Age. So Sauron taught them ring lore, among other things. Okay, and things seem to be going good. The scenes in the show of them working on the craft the Elven Rings is pretty much a mockery of the actual characters. Okay, so let's the next bit here. Now that Halbrand has revealed himself to be Sauron, it calls into question how the rest of the Rings of Power will be forged throughout the series. While 3 rings were created in the Lord of the Rings, or Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 8, Eloyd, Tolkien's work indicates Sauron is involved in creating the rest of the rings as well. It's likely that Season 2 will show Sauron disguising himself as someone else to trick the elves into making more rings. The forging of the 3 rings in the Rings of Prime completely breaks with Tolkien's canon. Sauron had a hand in the forging of the 9 rings that were given to men and the 7 that were given to the dwarves. He had worked with Celebrimbor and the smith, I said, to teach them and work with them to make those rings. Then Sauron left to forge the 1 ring, and after he left, Celebrimbor, without having revealed what he was doing to Anatar, forged the 3 because he kind of didn't trust Sauron at the end to do his masterwork, the 3 Elven rings. He wanted them out of the picture. Once Sauron forged the 1 ring and put it on, he became aware of the Elven rings and Celebrimbor's duplicity. But because he had no hand in its forging, the elves who wore them were able to remove the ring, and that was Celebrimbor and some of his smiths who wore them at the time. That enraged Sauron, and was the beginning of the War of Elves in Sauron, which ultimately ended with Celebrimbor's torturous death. Okay, Celebrimbor sent 1 ring to Galadriel, who advised to send the others to Gil-galad, and then Gil-galad sent 1 ring to Círdan the shipwright in the Grey Heavens. And so those 3 elves hid the rings away, but only Celebrimbor knew, and he never revealed that. He was tortured by Sauron for 2 years. He never revealed what any of the rings were. The 3 war, he did. At some point during the siege of Ostineth, Sauron did recover 6 of the 7 dwarven rings. The 7th may, depending on whether it was given to a dwarf or not. There's ambivalence in Tolkien's lore. Now, the first time Sauron was exposed to the Elven rings was when he put the 1 ring on and found out Celebrimbor had forged them, and they were able to take them off. Also, having Sauron assume another form to trick the elves again will be like C-movie plot bad. It's Abbott and Costello had better schemes than that. Now, the next article is also from Screenrant. It's entitled, Why the Ring Didn't Affect Bilbo the Way It Did Frodo. There are misconceptions in this article which you get when writers who apparently never read or watched, or who maybe watched the movies, as opposed to never read the actual books, you know. So, starting with this bit right here. The essential fact that helps account for the ring's stronger influence on Frodo is the relative strength of Sauron when Frodo possesses the ring compared to when Bilbo has it. Sauron is nearing a return to full strength during Frodo's journey, which seems to make the ring more potent. Now, Sauron had long since returned to his full strength, well before the whole Lord of the Rings happened. Okay, Sauron had remained in hiding while the Witch King built up the forces of Mordor for his next war. But in terms of reforming his body and having his full powers back, he had them back very closely after the end of the Second Age. You know. And the writer's article seems not to understand the ring's relationship to Mount Doom. Okay, the reason Sauron put Mordor where he did, aside from some geological advantage like the mountain ranges, is that long before, and like the first age of Middle Earth starts in about the year 600, and then goes down to 0, and that's when the elves return from their exile, not their exile, when they return to Undying Lands, chasing Fëanor, chasing Morgoth who had the three Silmarils, right? So, but there was a whole like millions of years before that, which were numbered in what called Valerian years and whatever, and sometime in that time period, when Morgoth was impregnating the earth with his power, okay, he made Mount Doom and put a chunk of his power there. So that's why Sauron put Mordor where he did, aside from the mountain ranges, which are advantageous. And then Sauron put some of his own power into Mount Doom, to make Mount Doom answer to him. The One Ring gets more powerful based on its proximity to the place where it was forged. No one, not even Bilbo, could have thrown the ring into the fires. Okay, Tolkien commented that in a letter that everyone would have been overcome. The only one who might have been able to do it, who was close, would have been Elrond. Even he wouldn't have been able to. Okay. That's why Eru had to intervene at the end. Spoilers. That basically after Gollum had the One Ring, got it back from Frodo, and he was dancing around, Eru intervened to basically knock him into the fire because Sam and Frodo had given everything. They had nothing left to give. They had given it all, and at that point, Eru said, "Okay, now I can intervene. I can grab divine grace and help the world of men because the ring bearer and his companion had done everything they could, and the creature who had the ring is totally destroyed. There's no chance of getting him to do anything or even resisting because the ring has broken him. So he freed Gollum from the damage of the ring and did the ring himself. So that's what actually happened. Now it's borderline infuriating when media hacks who don't know the source material put articles like this crap out. So I just wanted to get us back into the mental mood to what we can expect with this crap show starting up again in a few months. Unfortunately, it did manage to complete filming before the writer's strike started, so we will unfortunately get to season 2 of this. We're going to hope this writing strike lasts like 2 years or something until it gets canceled. I don't know, but we'll see. In any case, my name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.